Happy Veterans Day. I was inspired to go live at 1:11 on 11:11 and definitely want to start. Oh, and it was 11 seconds in when I just said that. I definitely want to start by saying Happy Veterans Day and thank you to all the veterans for their service, for my freedoms, as well as their families for the sacrifices that veterans' families make when they're serving in an active duty. Uh, because it's not just um, the soldier affected. But today I was, my name is Alicia, and this is Slasher Chick TV. We like to talk about negotiation strategies and growth mindset, particularly so you never have to choose between this or that. You can always say yes to this slash that and negotiate a life you love. Sometimes I like to throw manifest a life you love in there too, but that's the basic gist. Um, And today I was thinking about one of the greatest lessons that I've learned in my experience with negotiation, and just the aha that it was for me when this guest guest teacher shared it. And just to give a bit of my background, I have been trained in mediation and alternative dispute resolution. I think my over 20 years of people ops experience has also made me a pretty good negotiator. I've been a teaching assistant for the Harvard Project on Negotiation. I've completed and developed a fellowship on negotiation and alternative dispute resolution, particularly to diversify the industry. And so I have a little bit of experience with this. And that's why I love to talk about it because uh, uh, I'm specifically trained in principle based negotiation so that you can work together where it's you and the other party against the problem, not you and the other party against each other. Uh, in a just purely competitive negotiation. Now, sometimes competition is what's in your best interest, but that just depends on the relationship and how important it is to you to get everything that you want and need out of said negotiation. And one of the things people often ask when going through any negotiation training, though, is like, how do I deal with difficult people when I'm negotiating? Like someone who's angry, or someone who lies, or someone who has more power than I do. Hello, Damien. Unfortunately, I do not understand what you wrote. So, one of the greatest lessons I've learned about that is that while teaching at the Harvard Project on Negotiation, hello, Twilight Zone, we had a guest instructor, and this particular topic came up. And he said, one important thing to keep in mind is that when people behave erratically or irrationally, or do some of those things that might be out of character, it's because they believe it is the only way to get what they want. And one of the things we teach in principle based negotiation is to separate the person from the problem. It is about the solution, it is not about the individuals. And so when someone is doing that, that's when it's certainly time to separate the person from the problem. And one of the common, uh, ultimately, some of the dirty tactics someone might use in a negotiation can be split into kind of three categories: deliberate deception, which is kind of what we're going to talk about today, psychological warfare, or positional pressure tactics when they perhaps have more power than you or more authority than you in said negotiation. And, one of the common forms of that kind of trick might be, yeah, just outright lying. The best example that's given it might be, let's say, a used car salesman. They might not, they might give you, and this is, I'm using this example just to illustrate it. I'm not making any judgments about used car salesmen, but there is a perception, right? There's a reason there's a lemon law. And so if a used car salesman is trying to sell you this car saying, oh, yeah, it was only driven by one owner who only went from their block to the block next door to work and right back. Uh, and then that's not true. That's an example of like some deliberate deception. Now, there can be deliberate deception even if they're not outright lying. They can also lie by omission. Say, for example, you asked said used car salesman about 5 different aspects of the car, and they answer about 4 of them, but they leave out the answer about the water damage. Well, that's still a phony fact. And so that's when you again are going to separate the person from the problem. You don't want to get emotional in reaction to the fact that this person has attempted to deceive you. They are lying, but it is because they believe it's the only way to get what they want. And if you allow your emotions to get you out of that, then you might, not get everything that you want out of that negotiation. And so you have to continue to separate the person from the problem so that you can keep your emotions low in order to keep your strategy high. So, one way to do that is to now go back to literally the facts. In principle based negotiation, one of the things we talk about are objective standards. And objective standards are the facts that both you and I can identify and agree on so that we know this agreement is fair. So, in this example, if the car salesman is deceiving you, you might use something like a Carfax, which now is an objective standard that we can both agree on. Now, the most important thing in every negotiation, though, is always going into it knowing what is your BATNA. And your BATNA is your best alternative to a negotiated agreement. If this doesn't work, what am I going to do as an alternative? And in this example, if a car salesman is lying to you, you've used your objective facts, you're still trying to be deceived by this person using difficult tactics. Your best alternative to a negotiated agreement with them is to go somewhere else. Choose another vendor. You have that option. And so you have to know what your BATNA is before you go into any negotiation, because that's what's going to determine whether you can walk away or not. And the person who has the most leverage in any negotiation is the one who can walk away. They don't need it. And if you're not paying attention to those difficult tactics that someone might use, one of the things that you could potentially lose in this negotiation is your sense of your own integrity. If you're going against your own best interest by continuing to engage with something that you know is being deceptive towards you or using difficult tactics. So I it was just a thought I was having today, and I haven't done one of these progress over perfection lives in some time, but I thought it was something that I would share while it was on my mind. And I'm trying to just do more what I call lazy girl content, where I'm not thinking too much about what it looks like, but just practicing being a content creator. So I thank you for all that have listened and those who have been here. If you're watching it in the replay, share with me in the comments what has been a difficult tactic someone's used on you in a negotiation and how you maneuvered around it. And if you're interested in talking about growth mindset and negotiation strategies, subscribe to the channel and we can talk about it again later. But that's all, folks. And as I end all live streams, if no one else told you today, you are more than enough. And I love you.